What is up, everybody? This is Wolf/Turd, and today I'm going to be starting a new series of videos. I'm going to be pretty much putting all of the factions of Rome 1 in a tier list for battle, and then a tier list for the campaign play. Now, each faction is going to have its own video, especially on the campaign play. That would be very important because I'm going to be talking for around 10 minutes about each one of the factions, and in the battle I want to go a little bit in depth in terms of the roster. So first off, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a look at the Romans as a whole, because Romans are pretty much the same, of course. The only changes, I'm gonna put all of the Roman factions here, including of course the Senate, Brutii, and the pink Romans, the Senate. Now, of course, we all know that the green Romans are the best Romans. There's no discussion there. Green Romans are the best Romans, of course. And I'm going to talk about that on the campaign part of the Brutii, because the Romans will have different videos for each one of the factions when it comes to the campaign gameplay, right? What do I want to say about the Romans? Now here we're going to be taking a look at the artillery, the cav, the missile units, and then the infantry, okay? I'm going to be talking about that. Now, the Romans have by far the best artillery in the game. They have access to every single piece of artillery. The ballista, the scorpion, the repeating ballista, the onager, and the heavy onager, right? These are the 5 units that they have the best artillery in the game. Then we go and we take a look at the cav. Now, the cav is just the best unit of cav that the Romans have access to is the Praetorian cav, and it's just short of the cataphract cav. The cataphracts have better charge, and I think they have one more point in defense. Okay, they might be a little bit slower, I'm not too sure about that, but for sure Romans have access to really good cav. Now, the Roman cav is also a little bit on the expensive side, but it is what it is, and I think that's a theme among the Romans. So the Romans have really good cav, okay? So really, that's nice. Then when it comes to the missile units, archer-wise, they have the cheap Roman archers with 7 missile attack. They have the more expensive archer auxilia with 8 missile attack. I mean, is really those 200 denarii worth 1 more missile attack? I don't know, but they do have longer range, and that is something worth considering. Like, if you're gonna fight an enemy that has archers of their own, then maybe you will want to take your own archers with longer range. Okay, that's very important. So that's good that the Romans have, but they are lacking better missile units like the Greeks have access to, the Rhodian slingers, the Cretan archers, and like the Egyptians have access to with their armored pharaoh's archers, or I don't remember the name of the unit, but it's something like that. Now, they have some light auxilia and some velites. This is good. There are better units, there are better skirmishers out there, okay? Like, for example, the Greek peltasts, they have a big shield, they have more defense, so those are better. So, the Romans are not particularly good in missile, but they have access to the long-ranged archers, which is already better than a lot of factions. So, there's that. And now we go into the infantry. That's where the Romans really shine. While their best infantry, like the Praetorians and the urban cohorts, are really good, they're also expensive, right? And for example, if you go and you take a look at the Sacred Band from Carthage, it's cheaper and it has phalanx, so it could probably beat a Praetorian cohort, especially if you have them in formation with supporting troops. For sure, it would maybe defeat a Roman army. It depends on the player, of course. But if we're just taking a look at if we're just comparing the two armies, then I think I would rather use some sacred cohorts other than the Praetorian cohorts. Now, when we're going and taking a look at the urban cohort, I would rather use urban cohorts to the Sacred Band, because even though the difference is not very big, you still have 2 more attack than the Praetorians and 1 more defense than the Praetorians, and of course 2 more missile attack, on the urban cohorts. They are just extremely good, and of course you can use the testudo to defend yourself from missile attacks, which is really good. But yeah, they have even better morale than the Praetorians, so the urban cohorts are just a better unit all around than the urban cohort, and they are probably, I don't know if they're better than the Spartans or not. Okay, that's the only thing. The Spartans are really good, they can use the phalanx. These guys have the missile attack. I am split on this. I'm not sure if this is the best infantry unit in the game or if the Spartans are the best infantry unit in the game. Stat-wise, I think it's the urban cohort. But because the Spartans have the phalanx, they would have an advantage in a head-to-head combat. I don't know if the urban cohort beats the Spartan, though. That's a good fight to make, actually. That's one I should definitely make. But this is it. This is it, guys. You know, I think that the only thing the Romans are lacking is in spear infantry. They can use the auxilia infantry. They can use the triarii in the early game. But look at that. The triarii are not that much better than the auxilia. You know, but the auxilia seem to be a bit expensive when it comes to infantry. But this is it, guys. So I've already told you all about this. For example, I don't use Arcanis. I don't use gladiators. That's why I didn't really focus on it. The Romans have access to war dogs. The war dogs are pretty good against cav, though they are one use only, right? And then you have the incendiary pigs if you're fighting Carthage and if you know the enemy has elephants in their army. That's it. So the strength of the Roman army is their versatility. You can go heavy on archers, for example, and have good cavalry to protect them. You can go heavy on artillery. You can go heavy on infantry, have the best infantry the game can offer, you know, and then having maybe some weaker cavalry to support. Then again, these units are a bit expensive, okay? So if you want to go with an all-round army, you might be going for expensive infantry, like a good corps of infantry. Then you have some light archers. They're not as good, but they're really cheap. And then maybe some Roman cav, for example. Roman cav is not terrible. It's not really that good either. But you could do that. So there's so much versatility, right, that I'm going to have to feel forced to put the Romans in the S tier, like, because they can adapt to any situation. So for example, if you know you're gonna fight Carthage, probably elephants, you will get quite a bit of archers, maybe some artillery, and some good cav to flank, some decent infantry. You don't need the best infantry to defeat Carthage's infantry, right? You can just use legionary cohorts, or maybe some early legionary cohorts, and go for a little bit better cav, you know, some archers and artillery, for example. If you're gonna fight against the Seleucids, you know you're gonna be fighting pikes, or the Greeks, for example, you know you're gonna be fighting phalanxes. You're probably gonna go heavy on archers, or heavy on artillery as well. Actually, that's the same thing for me. If you know you're gonna be fighting, for example, barbarians, you can go heavy on heavy infantry. Boom. And then have a weaker core of cav, or maybe good cav and weak missiles and no artillery, for example. It's all a matter of who you're fighting, but the thing is that the Romans will have a good option for anything. They have, you know, the missiles is probably their weakness. They have good cav, really good infantry, and the best choice of artillery. S tier with the Romans, they can adapt to any situation. That was it, guys. Stay tuned for the next video on the campaign for these three Roman factions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much.